Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Miss Hope's Reading Hour. Forgive me for my tardiness. Forgive me. I got a little caught up in what I was trying to do. So sorry. Ooh, there we go. So sorry, friends. I apologize. I got caught up in my timing. I apologize. Should have been more on top of it, Miss Hope. Okay. But today may possibly be another one of those 4 book days because I saw these 4 books and I was like, I want to just read 2 of them, but all 3 of them are really good. So I decided, no, I will read all 3. Let's see if this will be another one of those days when I can get through all 3 of the books. So, welcome to the fabulous FRI-YAY installment of Miss Hope's Reading Hour. So glad that I'm able to be here with you today. Hopefully, your Friday was great. Of course, here in Philadelphia, our students have a half day, but they are expected to finish up any work that they haven't finished for the week so that over the weekend you can just have a free weekend. You don't have to worry about doing any homework or classwork or anything like that. So, hopefully, you have been able to get all of that done and have the rest of your weekend to just chill out, hang out, have fun, not have to do any schoolwork, okay? Unfortunately, Miss Hope has a lot of schoolwork to do. It's kind of different when you're in college because you always got something to do, always have something to read, lots of stuff to read. You want to see what Miss Hope reads? What Miss Hope is going to be reading this weekend? Let me show you. So, all of this stuff, all of this paper, Miss Hope's going to be reading this and writing 2 papers. Yes. But I don't have long to go in college before I get my nice hat and my gown and I can hopefully and prayerfully walk across the stage and people can be clapping for me. Okay. So that's what you have to look forward to if, in fact, you decide to go to college. Everyone may not, but if you decide to go, then you can look forward to that. Okay. Um, Hopefully your Friday was good. Hopefully you got to go outside and get some fresh air. Unfortunately, today I did not get to do that. But I will get to do it tomorrow. Okay. Now, since this is a 4 book day, we have to get to these books. We got to look at them. Okay. So let's start with our chapter book first because we all know that we will continue walking with Miss Millie and finding out more about her life, about Alice's family, and possibly more about her grandmother's family. I mean, her grandmother and things of her past. Okay, now let's get to our books. If you saw the teaser, which I apologize for my tardiness in putting that out because I put it out a little late. I try to get it out a little earlier. In the teaser, it showed the question was, what do you see? Sometimes what we see is just the stuff on the surface, and there's more to see than we think. And sometimes we all could be seeing the same thing at the same time, just in different ways. So, those are the books we're going to be looking at today. Now, before I go any further, any music that you hear on Miss Hope's Reading Hour and these lovely books that we read, Miss Hope does not own the rights to any of them, but they are all here for our listening enjoyment. Okay, so Let's look at our first book. This book, the title is Are Your Stars Like My Stars? Are your stars like my stars? Are they? Let's see. This book is by Leslie Helikowski, illustrated by Heidi Woodward Sheffield. Are your stars like my stars? Who knows? They just might be. Our next book is called Looking Like Me. Looking Like Me. This book is by Walter Dean Myers, illustrated by Christopher Myers. That's interesting. I wonder if they're related. Possibly. And our last book that we will be reading is called Skin Again by Bell Hooks, illustrated by Chris Rashka. We read another book that was illustrated by him. I can't remember which one it was right now, but it was recent. That was illustrated by Chris Rashka. Funny how now we're starting to get to know some of these authors because they've been repeating, and even the illustrators too. All right, so let us get into our books. But first, I don't know what's been going on with my day today, but I have to choose some ambiance, my friends. We have to have some. We must. We have to have some ambiance, okay? We got to listen to some music. Some music. We have to have some. Oh, not that one. Gotta have some music. Oh. Now, before we got on, I was trying to find some music, and I feel like this is kind of the music I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear something lively because we're talking about what we see. And sometimes what we see is lively. All the things that we see, most of them are alive, especially when we're outside. So let us get to our first book. Let me see, which one am I going to read first? Okay, I'm going to read Skin Again first by Bell Hooks, illustrated by Mr. Chris Rashka. Since we know him, might as well read that one first. And I like how the pictures are. It almost looks like cut paper, but I think it's painting. Skin Again by Bell Hooks. The skin I'm in is just a covering. It cannot tell my story. The skin I'm in is just a covering. If you want to know who I am, you have got to come inside and open your heart way wide. The skin I'm in looks good to me. It will let you know one small way to trace my identity. But then again, the skin I'm in will always be just a covering. It cannot tell my story. If you want to know who I am, you have got to come inside. Be with me inside the me of me, all made up of stories, present, past, and future. Some true to life, and others all fun and fantasy, all the way I imagine me. You can find all about me, coming close and letting go of who you think I am. Before you come inside and let me be real, and you become real to me. All real then, in that place where skin again is one small way to see me, but not real enough to be all. To be all the me of me or the you of you. For we are all inside, made up of real history, real dreams, and the stuff of all we hope for when we can be all real. Together on the inside. The end. Short book, but very important. Let you know that you're more than what you see on the outside. Many people may just look at you and think one thing, and you're like, that's not all of who I am. Once you come inside your heart, inside your mind, that's when you really get to know who a person is. Very good book, Mr. Bell Hooks. Thank you. Skin again. All right. So the next book we're going to read is Looking Like Me by Walter D. Myers. And this is an Edgemont book. Looking like me. I looked in the mirror, and what did I see? A real handsome dude looking just like me. He put out his fist. He gave it a bam. He said, Jeremy. I said, that's who I am. Along came my sister, fine as she can be. Hey, Jeremy, she said, your little brother to me. She put out her fist. I gave it a bam. Jeremy and brother, that's who I am. Along came my father. He said, having fun? Because if you are, you need to add son. He put out his fist. I gave it a bam. I'm Jeremy, brother, and my father's son. I got a strange feeling. I wasn't half done. Aren't you a writer? Asked my teacher, Miss K. I saw you writing in your book today. I'm a writer, spinning dramas that dance across the stage, a poet weaving mysteries that live upon the page. Miss K put out her fist. I gave it a bam. Say Jeremy, say brother, say son, say writer. That's who I am. I'm walking tall and walking proud. Looked in the mirror. I looked like a crowd. You're a city child, my skinny mailman grinned, and I see you're really loving the city that you're in. I'm a city child. I love the dizzy heights, the concrete, the steel, the bright neon lights. You know what's funny? I'm a city child too. I love the city. I do. I always have. The mailman lifted his fist. I gave it a bam. It is kind of amazing, all the people I am. You're an artist, said my grandma. Your pictures make me smile. I love your funny portraits, and your scenes have so much style. Grandma's rings and bangles gave such a noisy bam. They were really celebrating the kind of guy I am. I know you're a dancer, said a sweet girl whirling by. You move your feet to a salsa beat with a twinkle in your eye. She put out her fist. I gave it a bam. I added dancer to the answer of just who I am. I know that I'm a talker with many tales to tell, jokes and news and secrets. I hope I tell them well. My words are sometimes hurried, at times they come out slow, at times they fly like snowflakes with everywhere to go. Sometimes I let my words go free, like marbles off a shelf. Sometimes I give myself a bam and keep them to myself. I saw Karen running, so I ran too. She said, "Hey, Jeremy, what's up with you?" I said, "I'm a runner. I just love to race with the spinning earth beneath me, the wind blowing in my face." I gave it a bam when she put out her fist. Then I added runner to my I am list. My mom calls me a dreamer, a silver rayed moonbeamer, spreading fantasies across the Harlem sky. I dream of secret places, plaid clouds and hidden faces, black knights and maids who swoon and sigh. My mom put out her fist. I gave it a gentle bam because that's the kind of dreamer that I am. Why don't you find a mirror and some friends along the way? Think of all the things you do and all the things they say. Make a long list if you want to. Make yourself an I am jam. Then give yourself a great big smile and your fist a great big bam. So, about the author and the illustrator, we've looked in the mirror, and what did we see? Two handsome dudes and a boy, son, brother, reader, friend, classmate, writer, poet, athlete, college student, speaker, photographer, dreamer, dancer, painter, sculptor, collagist, collector, and oh, flute player. So they are related. They were cute little guys, right? The end. Whoa! Imagine being all those things. I guess it did seem like they were a crowd. They were a lot of different people. But if you just look at them, like if you just look at yourself, you're like, who am I? Because sometimes we can look at ourselves and think, oh, I'm just Miss Hope. But if other people said who I am, what would I be? I think I'm going to ask that question to see what people would say. That is an interesting question. If if I said I am dot dot dot, what word would you put after that for me? So for me, Miss Hope is a reader, a reader, a student, a teacher, an artist, a singer, a sister, an auntie, a friend. Oh, what else? A dreamer, and full of love. 10 things. That's quite crowded. And I could probably think of some other ones too. So that's your assignment for this weekend. Find out what your I ams are and what people think you are. Because you're not just the ordinary, regular, schmegular person that you think you are. You are a lot of great and wonderful things. Whew, I'm already liking these books. Friends, we went through 2 of our 3 books. Now we are on to book number 3, which means pat yourselves on the back. We've done a good job. We're going to get to the 4 books. We've done a good job. All right, now our last book. Are your stars like my stars? This book is written by Leslie Helikowski. Let's see who publishes this book. This is a Sterling Children's Books book. We look at the world every day, you and me. Do we see the same things? Do you see what I see? When you squint at the sky, do you see the same hue? Deep, wide, and open is your blue. Is your blue like my blue? Oh, I didn't see the words down there in the blue. Is your blue like my blue? When the sun gazes down, shining yellow and bold, is it warm, full of sparkle? Is your gold like my gold? When you dig in the dirt, planting seeds in the ground, is it earthy and rich? Is your brown like my brown? Oh, now see, their brown looks like cookies. That makes me kind of happy. Do you splash in a puddle when the world is washed clean? Are the leaves fresh and bright? Is your green like my green? When you stroll in an orchard, do sweet smells fill your head? Is the fruit bold and flashy? Is your red like my red? Does your shadow grow long as the sun starts to sink? Are the clouds soft and rosy? Is your pink like my pink? Ooh, the pink of cotton candy. When your eyes are shut tight, do you peek just a crack? Is the night smooth and sleepy? Is your black like my black? When you stare at the stars, do you see the same light? Does it glow in the darkness? Is your white like my white? Ooh, look at the fuzzy little llama. Looks like an alpaca. We look at each other every day, you and me. Do we see the same things? Do I see what you see? The end. Man, all three of these were really good stories. Are your stars like my stars? Think about it. Red here in the United States could be something totally different somewhere else. What we associate with red, someone in another country can associate something else with red. Most of the time here, when you say red and you ask, what do you think of? People say an apple. Somewhere else, someone could say fireworks, or they could say chili. When they see black, you could think about the sky, but they could think about coal or the beach, because there are some beaches around the world that it's rocky and black. So it makes you think about, what do I see and what do you see? And both things are relevant and important, and it helps us to learn more about each other. So when you see someone, you got to get inside, because I like the pink one. The pink one makes someone else think about a beautiful sunset, which I love it when the sunset is different colors. But it makes someone else on the other side of the world think of cotton candy. And guess what? Most people like cotton candy, okay? So these books are great. They help you to see things in different ways, to see deeper than just what's on the surface. Ooh, I'm so glad I picked these three books today and I put them together. Hopefully you like them too. All right, my friends, we are going back to Walking with Miss Millie. Thank you so much for the ambiance. But now we have to get back to Walking with Miss Millie by Miss Tamara Bundy. All right, so we're in chapter 13 now. So Miss Millie recently told Alice on their last walk, because it was so hot, because down in Rainbow, Georgia, it's really hot. And she told her about the swimming pool that, unfortunately, because this book takes place in the 60s, and she told her how, unfortunately, they shut down the pool because by law, they said that everybody could swim in the pool. But some people were not okay with that. So they just shut down the pool altogether, which Alice thought was stupid. And then when she told Eddie, he also thought that was stupid. Listen, it's hot. Everybody should be able to swim. But then she started asking Miss Millie what happened to her son. And she was right in the middle of telling her about that when some boys came along, the same boys she saw before that were trying to pick at her little brother. And she came and was like, he's deaf. You're not going to mess with him. She was really, really mad. So they came past and they were saying mean things to Miss Millie. And Miss Millie was telling her who they were and that she's just too old to let stuff like that hurt her anymore. And then she told Alice something strange. You don't have to come and walk with me anymore. I don't have to come and walk with you anymore. Alice started getting used to these walks and she liked walking with Miss Millie. But Miss Millie said, you're not used to people treating you this way, and I don't want to subject you to that. But I think that Alice still wants to walk with her and that she will. Maybe she'll convince Miss Millie to continue their walks together. Let's see what happens. Miss Millie smiled. Alice, girl, I'm used to stuff like that there. Don't particular like it, but I'm used to it. I'm so old and been through so much, I ain't nothing people can say or do that can hurt me anymore. But you, this time her voice cracked. You never been on this side of ugly before. I don't want you shoved across that line on my account. We walked on. I guess as the distance between the McHale brothers and us grew, the distance between Miss Millie and me kind of shrunk. I picked my next words as carefully as I would pick flowers in my grandma's garden, if she ever let me. All I want is for you to finish telling me about your boy. Miss Millie let out a whistle of a laugh as she shook her head, but I knew she wasn't mad or anything. Okay then, let's see. Where'd I leave off? James told you not to have the baby till he got back. Ah, yes, she tilted her head like she was going back in time to tell the story once again firsthand. Then she cleared her throat and took a couple deep breaths before she went on. She spoke her words in the direction of the sky like she was telling it to God or something. Problem was, he never came back. Wouldn't you know it? The very minute I was told James was killed, my baby chose right then and there to start coming. And he came. Oh, Lordy, he came. James didn't get the time to make the world any better of a place, but my baby came anyway. Dang it. But my eyes were getting misty again. Had me the prettiest baby boy you ever did lay eyes on, spitting image of his uncle. So we called him James, just like his uncle. I wish the story would end right there. I wanted to remember Miss Millie and Mr. Clayton and James all being the family they were in the picture. I wanted that to be the end of the story, but I knew Mr. Clayton Miller was buried under a peeling white cross and baby James was buried someplace else. What happened to baby James? My voice cracked as my words came out. Our feet were moving at the same time, slow but the same. Right foot, left. Even Clarence was in step with us. When Miss Millie answered, her words were, at first, real soft, and then got loud enough for me to hear. Let's see. The year was 1911. Me and Clayton and baby James carved out a nice little life for ourselves. Life wasn't easy, but we got by, trying not to draw too much attention to ourselves. Just be a family. Just be a family. Then one night it happened. When she said those words, my stomach turned like it was getting ready for someone to punch it. I tried to prepare myself for the worst, but I suspected there really was nothing that could prepare me for what Miss Millie's life had put her through. Baby James was 5 when he got an awful sore belly. Cried and cried about it. Now, he wasn't one to bellyache about nothing. No, he was a brave boy. With these words, her voice filled with emotion. Such a brave boy. If he fell down, he got back up. If he got a scratch, he never mentioned it. So when this brave little boy said his belly hurt something fierce, I knew it was something bad. She took another deep breath. I think I forgot to breathe. After a whole day of that bad belly, a fever started. Then another day of a fever burning my baby on the inside. I tried getting a doctor to come, but the white doctor refused. I decided to go to the hospital. There was a public hospital in Atlanta, but it was too far. The private hospital was for white people only, but it was closer. Even after all the things Miss Millie told me, it still felt like a cut to my heart when she said that even the hospitals were divided then too. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. Miss Millie knew the question before I asked it and only nodded before she went on. Yep. So we took my baby boy to the private hospital hoping we'd get the help he needed. By now, we were back at her house and she let Clarence off the leash and we sat down at the picnic table. Even though he was released from the leash, Clarence stayed right by Miss Millie's feet. The hospital wouldn't take him. Plum refused. By then, my baby was screaming in pain and fever, and I plumb refused to leave. They threatened to have me arrested, but I stayed right there with my sick little boy. She let out a deep breath, which sounded to me like life itself being sucked out of her. After 2 hours, a nurse finally let me in and had me wait in a basement for a doctor to see him. It was cold and damp. Her voice grew softer, like each remembered word hurt more than the last. And it was down there that my little boy drew his last breath in my arms. God rest his soul. I would later figure it had been about 50 years since that day when Miss Millie lost her baby. But when she was telling it right then, it might as well have been yesterday. Tears in her eyes left the tears in my The tears in her eyes left the tears in my own eyes no choice but to follow. I reached out to Miss Millie, and before I knew it, we were holding hands. And there we sat at the picnic table, the two of us, tears falling like the rain we needed but weren't getting. I think I heard Clarence sniffle too. Chapter 14. Before she got the forgetful disease, Mondays had always been Grandma's bridge day, where her group of lady friends would get together to play cards. But I guess Grandma's bridge playing days disappeared with her good memory, since her friends hadn't been over in a long time. Mama hoped a visit from the ladies would be good for Grandma, and I hoped so too. I have to admit, I actually missed Grandma telling me, sit up straight, dress more like a lady. Some days now, she just looked at me like she's trying to remember who I am. So on that Monday afternoon, when the ladies' mama invited over for a special visit arrived, I decided I'd take a ride on my bike. I knew for once Eddie wouldn't want to join me since he always liked to stay inside where the ladies would feed him all the ginger snaps he wanted. Mama gave me a dime to buy a popsicle, so I figured I'd head to the general store after the library. The librarian seemed like she was waiting for me. Alice, is that you? My goodness, you've grown this year. You too, I said, but realized soon enough that a lady might not think that was a compliment. The librarian laughed, though. I'm Miss Davis. I met you a few years back. I went to school with your mama. We even double dated to senior prom. Hi, Miss Davis, I answered. Looking for anything in particular today or just browsing? I'm kind of just browsing, I guess. I knew I wanted a poetry book, but I wasn't real sure what kind. But I soon found what I was after, checked it out, and placed the book in the basket of the bike. Then I rode over to the general store. Back home in Columbus, I used to love going to the grocery store in the summertime since they had air conditioning. Walking in there was like walking into a refrigerator. But I don't think Rainbow has even heard of air conditioning. When I arrived, the screen door was propped open, like the owner was hoping for a breeze. But instead, all he got were some flies and even a stray dog. I used to think the general store was kind of cute, with its bins of fruit and vegetables looking like it wanted to be old-fashioned. But that was before Mama had the idea we were staying here. Now I don't think it's cute at all. The grocer, I guess the same one whose daughter was out late that night and who got me into trouble for listening to gossip, was shooing the dog out. Well, hello, Alice Ann, he hollered when he saw me, like we were old friends. Does every adult in Rainbow know who I am? And why did he call me by my full name? Only Mama calls me that. Hello, Mr. O'Brien. You probably remember my dad. He used to run this store, but I've taken it over now. I went to school with your mama. I was a couple years older, but I noticed her even then. Everybody noticed your mama. She's a special lady. I sure didn't like the way Mr. O'Brien was going on and on about mama. So you knew my daddy too then, right? Oh, yeah, sure, I knew him. I stood there waiting for him to say how special my daddy was too, but he wasn't as talkative about daddy. Well, I said, when daddy comes, I'm sure he'll want to come say hi to you. When he comes, Mr. O'Brien looked confused. Oh, sure, that'd be nice if he comes. With the grocer done rattling on about my mama and daddy, I went over to the freezer to get a popsicle. The cold air blast from the freezer felt good as I searched for a great popsicle. All they had was orange. Guess nothing in this town was what I wanted it to be. I gave my dime to Mr. O'Brien, and the whole store started shaking with a train going by. So thankfully, I didn't have to hear what more he had to say about Mama. But as I walked out, he yelled, "See you later, Alice Ann." I got outside right when the train finished passing and looked for my bike. I knew I had propped it against the fire hydrant, but it was gone. I walked around to the left side of the store. So confused, I didn't even lick my popsicle until I felt orange goo dripping down my hand. I was just about ready to go back into the store when I saw one of those horrible boys. What did Miss Millie say their names were? The McHales. The older McHale boy was standing there with a stupid grin on his face. Where is it? I demanded. He managed to look even stupider than he usually did. Where's what? You know exactly what I'm talking about. Now give me my bike. As I yelled, I pointed my popsicle at him, and the melting ice pop slid off the stick into the dirt. Oh, poor baby, dropped your little treat. Well, now it's trash, just like that piece of trash you call a bike. He laughed his deep laugh that didn't sound like a laugh should sound at all. I swear I'll tell Mr. O'Brien. Right then, I didn't know if I wanted to scream or cry. Ooh, a tattletale. That really scares me. I turned to go back inside, but before I got to the door, the smaller Mikhail came around the other side of the store with my bike. Is this yours? He said, like he didn't know perfectly good and well it was. Of course it's mine, I yelled, grabbing it from him. Hey, I didn't take it, he said. I was bringing it back to you. I saw it over on the other side. I'd never really seen this kid up close before. He had reddish blonde hair and freckles like mine. If I didn't know he was a Mikhail, I might have believed him. But in the short time I'd been in this little town, I learned who the Mikhails were, and I didn't like them. I turned to jump on the bike, but the older Mikhail wasn't done yet. He grabbed the book in my basket. Give that back, I yelled. Oh, what's this? His voice was sugary sweet as he read the title. An Introduction to Poetry. Do we have a little poet here? Come on, tell me something purty. I was fighting back tears as I tried to get the words to come out. But before I could speak, the younger Mikhail grabbed the book from his brother and put it back in my basket. Maybe I should have thanked him, but right then I only wanted out of there. I hopped on my bike, but my foot missed the pedal. I heard laughter as I finally rode away, pedaling faster and faster, each push of the pedals keeping time with my heavy breathing. And then I heard it. Clank, clank, clunk. And with that sound, my bike chain fell off, making my foot lose its place on the pedal and my whole body lose its place on the bike. The next second, I felt sharp pains shooting through my knee, my elbow, and my mouth. For a moment, I lay on the road, all sprawled out. Oh my goodness, I heard a voice coming from down the road. Y'all okay? And there she was, Pam, the girl from the park. I, I, I think I'm okay, I said as I stumbled, trying to stand up. Whoa, let me help you. In an instant, Pam was off her bike and right beside me. You're bleeding, she pointed out in case I didn't know what all the red stuff dripping down my arm and leg was. I looked at my scratches. Hard to say how deep the cuts were since they were filled with pebbles. Y'all want me to go get y'all mama and daddy or somebody? If Pam could get daddy to come back, all this pain would be worth it. But I didn't want to get into my life story right then, so I shook my head. I think I can make it home. I don't think your bike can make it home, though. She was right. Not only was the chain off, but the handlebars were bent and the basket was sort of smashed in. My book! Where's my book? Pam found it a little ways from where I landed and handed it to me. I'll walk you home, she offered. Do you want to leave your bike here? No, I think I can walk it home. But that was easier said than done. The whoop, whoop, whoop of the bent wheel made even pushing it hard. And considering that my head still felt dizzy and my leg and arm still bled, and that tinny taste in my mouth, it might have been a miracle I was walking at all. Pam watched me struggle with it. Here, y'all take my bike and I'll take yours. After a few minutes of walking our bikes side by side down the road, Pam announced, Hey, I just realized I don't even know your name. Oh, sorry. I'm Alice. Alice? She exclaimed, like there was a bunch of names she'd been pondering for me, and that one just one. When we got to the corner of Grandma Street, I was glad to see the visiting ladies' cars were gone. I sure didn't want all those ladies fussing over me. If I could have, I would have just snuck on in and not told Mama, but Pam had other ideas. Alice's mama? Alice's mama? She yelled while we were still in the yard. I dropped the bike and reached for the door right when Mama opened it. Alice Ann, my word, child, what happened? Before I could speak, Pam did. Her chain came off her bike and she fell hard. She's bleeding everywhere. I just stood there like I was on display. You poor thing, Mama looked at me. We got to get you cleaned up. She opened the door for me to walk in as Pam stood frozen to the ground looking down. Mama turned back. Thank you so much for helping, young lady. Are you a friend of Alice's? No, I answered too fast. As much as I hated Rainbow, I sure didn't want Mama thinking I was making friends in it. But I felt bad as soon as I saw the hurt look on Pam's face. Sorry, we just really met the other day, but Pam found me when my bike crashed. Mama smiled. Well, Pam, it looks like you're a hero today. Would you like to come in and get some ginger snaps while I tend to Alice? A person might have thought Mama was asking Pam if she wanted a $100 reward. The smile on her face started in her eyes and then spread like in a slow motion until it was all over. Sure, she shouted. Mama took me into the bathroom to wash out my wounds, which hurt bad enough. But the worst part was when she painted on the iodine to keep out the infection. We both blew on it something fierce to cool it down, but it stung almost as much as falling off my bike. Well, my friends, we are going to end right there. Oh, those McHale boys. I don't like them either. Okay. But I have a sneaking suspicion we're going to find out some connection between Alice and those boys. And that maybe, just maybe, they might become friends. What if they're related? So much to find out, okay? Oh my goodness. And didn't it break your heart to find out what happened to Miss Millie's son? Can you believe that things were like that? It's a shame. But things are better and always getting better. So, my friends, let's end it right there. So glad we got to read our first 3 books and we made it through a 4-book day. Can you believe it? So, before we go, I would like to say welcome to our first viewer from Germany. They let us know they are viewing Miss Hope's Reading Hour from Germany. That is pretty amazing. Hopefully, we can get more people around the world listening to our books and our stories and knowing that, guess what? Even though on the surface we may look different, there are so many things about us that are the same when you get inside and get to the heart, get to the mind. All right, well, thank you for being here with me on this fabulous FRI-YAY. And I look forward to seeing you all again on a marvelous Monday, right here on Miss Hope's Reading Hour. Thank you so much for being here with me and giving me the opportunity and the privilege to read these great books with you. So until a marvelous Monday, have a great rest of your fabulous Friday. Have a great weekend, and I will see you right back here on Marvelous Monday on Miss Hope's Reading Hour. Until then,